We're at the point where she's told them about Fotis handing her a paper towel, Pavel wanting to keep the Jeep until he sells his truck, taking Fotis to the car wash, and stopping at the bank. The interviewers are bouncing back and forth between topics. She can't remember if she picked up her daughter before or after they went to the bank.
Where to come to the car.
Okay. So you followed him to Russell Speaker, he went in, left your phone number apparently.
Yes, because
right.
He called me.
And then he comes out, he gets into well, you guys switch, you're in the rental, Yukon, and the two of you drive down together to Attorney Bowman in Westport, correct?
Yes.
And then sometime during the afternoon, through 1:39, you get a call, and you go back to Russell's Speeder.
I'm not sure if we went to drive. No, first I don't know if we were driving from here to Farmington.
Right. I'm listening.
At some point, I know he stops in the bank.
What? Right.
And maybe I drop him there, or
This is you guys in the bank, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm there, yes.
Yeah. That's you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just saying, yes, you go to the bank and then you go.
Do I go to pick up my phone, or?
Do you remember?
I'm
check. Do you remember you go?
But I don't know. But I know I went to the car wash and I dropped him off.
I want to go back to the email for just 1 second. Fotis hands you the paper towel, the brown substance on it. Where did you place that towel?
In one of the black bags.
One of the black bags?
Yes.
Is that the only thing you placed in a black bag?
No, I put some paper towels that I used, and then that was it. I left all the cleaning supplies in the kitchen.
Okay. So that's the only thing you saw or threw out that he gave you at 89. Anything else you threw out was stuff that you used?
Yes.
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 Did all that stuff go into that one bag?
I don't know, because I never went back to the house and I didn't pick up the cleaning supplies or anything. I guess at some point if Fotis went back to pick up the Tacoma, he probably took everything. But I never went back to that to 89 after he left.
On Friday. What do you mean you never went back after you left? Which time? After you went home to switch out the vacuum cleaner, right?
Yes, and
then you went back.
Yes, when we all left, since we all left, which I believe it was around 5.
Okay.
I never went back to 80.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Alright, just a little confused. Did you ever take Fotis on Friday? Did you ever take Fotis back to Jefferson?
What do you mean to Fotis?
So you and Fotis at some point are both at 80. Do you go back to Fort Jefferson around 407? And do you remember taking Fotis back to Jefferson? Or having Fotis and you drive back to Jefferson? On Friday?
It could be that he came to grab the truck.
So you don't remember that?
You know what? I think. No, I think I took his phone that it was on charge.
You took his phone?
To charge it, I think. Can it be or no?
I don't know. That wasn't there. You were there.
I know, but I don't know. Maybe he gave me the phone because he said I have no battery. And when I went and charged it at some point, then I left.
Then you left.
I mean, I went back
You're gonna say where you
I
are.
went back, okay, from Fort Jefferson, I went back to 80.
Can You just took the phone back? Is this a maybe or is this a you did it?
I think I did. I think I took his phone to charge.
Because his battery was going dead. And he remained at 80.
Yes.
Doing what? Cleaning up the call?
No.
Oh,
I saw him, I told you, outside. I saw him at some point. He went down to the basement because the door, I saw it open. And no, that's it. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. I was inside the house.
Not when he handed you the towel from work. Not when he handed you the dirty towel you were outside the house.
Well, I was walking outside the house and that's where we met. And the only time I was out is in the porch, in the terrace outside the house, but looking towards the lots.
Looking on the north side, to the north.
To the lots.
Sorry, which is
This is the house, and then there's a tree here that I like because this tree, I like it because how it looks from one of the rooms. And the porch is here, and the garage is here, and all the garage parking is here.
The north is this way. So the lot is here, but it's
It is. And he has these two lots for sale.
right.
Well, one is supposed to be sold.
This would be an appropriate time to take the recess.
Yes, Judge.
Notice she's asking them when she picked up her daughter. If that bag that she put the paper towel in was one of the bags that Fotis later threw out, Michelle's DNA would be on the bag and on the items inside the bag. There was no bloody paper towel in the bag. Also of importance is the absence of mention that Michelle tied up the bag or that the bag was full. So Fotis could have added items to the bag after Michelle left. The absence of this information as to whether or not the bag had been sealed doesn't mean it wasn't. It doesn't mean it was. Nobody asked the question. Fotis could have gone into the basement for any number of reasons. We'll likely never know whether or not his reason had anything to do with the crime or if it was really related to prepping the property at Mountain Spring. One of the questions that has been nagging at me is when and where did he load the evidence-filled garbage bags into the Raptor? Pavel testified that both the Tacoma and the Raptor were empty, and Pavel had driven around with that plank in the back of the truck, so there were no garbage bags there. Could Fotis have dropped the bags in the basement at Mountain Springs and then brought them up after Michelle left? But then wouldn't Pavel have seen bags in the Raptor then? And if Fotis had disposed of everything else, why not dispose of these bags as well? And I have questions about the contents of the bags that they did find. Things that weren't there that I would have expected to be there. There's a lot missing. Did Fotis divide up the task of disposal of the bags between himself and whoever the male was whose DNA was on Jennifer's shirt? If he was having Michelle burn evidence in the fireplace, why throw out the things that could have been burned? Why save them to toss in the trash later? Michelle said she swept the terrace and that there were leaves there. You might recall that in one of the bags the police found was a smaller bag that contained leaves and little sticks. The officers who collected it sent it to an agricultural lab. That was a smart move and not something that would happen at every police service. They might be able to determine the likelihood of that plant material having come from Mountain Spring, or at least the area. That would be another link between the bag it was found in and Fotis. Having said that, I do think that the link between Fotis and the bags is already well established. Michelle says she never went back after she left shortly after 5. The prosecution's evidence corroborates this. That means Fotis had time to gather bags or do who knows what. He also had that hour before lunch. Pavel was making trips back and forth between Deer Cliff and Mountain Springs, and there was something off about all that too. I just haven't had time to sit down and really take a closer look at it. I note that during cross, the defense mentioned the view from Deer Cliff. You gotta know that's gonna come up somehow. And Fotis's phone. Michelle said at some point, Fotis said to her that his battery was dying and he wanted her to take the phone back to Fort Jefferson and charge it for him. So she did that. Well, this would explain why Pavel saw a phone at the Fort Jefferson house. It's true, we don't know if the phone that Pavel saw was actually Fotis's phone, but this does fit.
The whole key thing is problematic. Is there anything,
Yeah, I think, whatever reason, I think we can tell you more about the key situation.
Okay. Do you need anything? Do you use bathroom? Do you need a coat? How do you feel like you're doing right now with us?
Obviously, I'm not comfortable, but not because of you guys.
Do you feel more truthful with us? Because I'm not sure I do.
Well, I tell you, everything this has been like very shocking to me.
I understand that.
And like when we spoke 2 months ago, I mean, I was like completely in shock. I've been really working hard with Andy to try to to figure out and bring my memory back to all details. What has helped me is chats, pictures,
Okay, well,
that I've been recollecting from people.
you bring up more picture, and I think that's a good word to use. Because we're here to determine which of these pictures, which of these folders, it's pretty thin folders, right? Are these going to stay thin, or are they going to continue on being, having photos put into them? So there are certain things in my mind that are not going to be anymore. Okay? This is you in photos, right?
Yeah,
Okay. This is not going to be anymore, ever. I'm just guessing.
I'm 100%.
There are some other things that I'm hoping you still have an opportunity to partake in. I mean, you got some nice, you go on some nice trips. Okay, this is you in your family in Cuba, I believe, one of those photographs. Right, these are your family, right?
Well,
You.
this is my
Okay,
best
this is your
friend.
family, right?
It's not family, this is my best friend, my
Right.
best friend.
Okay,
And this is the wife of him, this is the kid of him.
but these people are important to you, right?
Yes, of course.
Is this person important to you?
True.
Okay.
No, because he got me into all
He
this.
got you into a lot of crap. These people are important to you, right?
Yeah.
No. I have to guess which time on there's 10 of
The
them.
one they were 24, 25. We won't bring it up in all states.
Here.
It's fine.
Is this person important to you, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. Because quite frankly, this person is, I don't even know Nicole, but she's important to me because I don't want her to be without her mother. And I'll tell you right now, the way that things are going, I'm not feeling overly confident that you're being truthful enough with us to keep yourself together with her. Because, you know, Jennifer Valente, she and her boyfriend, Kyle David, she was sitting in your chair one time telling us stories, kind of like what you're telling us. You know where she is right now? She's in prison for 8 years.
These are very
I
similar.
don't want that to be you, because I don't want her to be without her mom. So you need, we're not asking you difficult questions. These are things, Michelle, these are,
I need to tell you.
I want you to tell what happened with Jennifer. What do you know about what Fotis did to Jennifer? That's what I want to know.
Okay, I don't know.
Let's take a break.
Yeah, take a few minutes and then I'll. Okay.
I think that's a lot.
It's just, I'm trying to kind of shock you a little bit because this is what it comes down to. All right? I have a few minutes. We're gonna,
This week, yeah.
we have to put it out because we have to.
But if you want to go somewhere private, we
Yeah,
can.
you want to go somewhere else, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Go where you want.
All right, if you could just show us where I want to.
Oh, no, that's fine. You can come back here.
By ripping that picture in half, Kimball is trying to drive home the fact that there is no hope for Michelle and Fotis as a couple. Sometimes this is a thing that investigators have to drive home. But in this case, not only is it not a thing they have to do, Michelle herself has been clear with them it's not a thing. But just like earlier, Kimball has this idea stuck in his head about how women are with men. This little thing here is not about Michelle and Fotis. This is about Kimball and the ideas that he has in his own mind. Michelle agrees that her family and her daughter are who is important. Of course, anyone with eyes and ears would already know this. And Kimball is trying to use this as leverage. And what he is putting in her face is reality. She was and is in terrible peril. If anything is going to move her to give them more, it's this. Unless she already is giving them everything she knows. This is where people give false confessions. What is she supposed to come clean about or tell them if she doesn't know?
And how long you were a federal prosecutor for?
Oh, a little under 3 years. I was, when I was, let's say I was out for 2 years, then I was a federal defender. So I did that for about 4 years. I had 3 assistants who did whole state. It's a bigger office now.
Yeah. Branch out a little bit.
One of the guys who was an assistant of mine, who we spent six months on trial, is now on trial in Washington, D.C.
Really?
Yeah, Gregory Craig, one of the best lawyers, who was charged in connection with, he was retained by the Ukrainian government.
Really?
And they charged him in connection with the Foreign Agent Registration Act. So he's actually on trial.
Wow. People find themselves in the precarious predicament.
This guy was, he was the Assistant Secretary of State. He was, one of the best lawyers in Washington.
Just going to pause it at 2:40:26. Attorney Bowman is speaking with another gentleman. Who's the other gentleman?
That's Detective Chris Allegro.
All right, thank you.
Things that seem to be going on with, change after night, so to speak. Such as the
You want this? No. Okay. You want it?
I heard it's your favorite. I heard Sure.
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't want you to, because you're exhausted or tired, okay?
All right, look. Again, from our standpoint, okay, the way we see things, what we've learned, just a little bit of what that is. You have to look at it this way. Fotis goes on Wednesday, prior to the 24th, to Grace Farms to be with his kids, and he
But
doesn't.
he didn't go to Grace Farms. For what I knew
All
from.
right, listen, just
Let me
okay, just let.
say what I gotta say, and then you'll have all the opportunity for it. You send him a text, doesn't go through, he doesn't get it, he doesn't respond. You become angry, and you send him the emoji, the middle finger. Days later, you still bring it up because you're still upset about it. Okay? I've been through your phone. I've seen your phone. I see all the little snippets of when Fotis gets a text message and you take the little picture that you take. She gets a message from a female and it's in Greek and you're all over it.
Yes.
And I'm sure you bring it up to him, what's this?
Can
Okay? Now, let's go to the 24th Friday. You wake up, you go in your bedroom, and Fotis isn't there. A few hours later, you come across his phone with Ken in the office. Fotis isn't there. And you expect us to believe that you didn't go looking for him the entire day, you didn't see him anywhere, you never questioned him, you weren't concerned about where he was, you didn't try to reach out to him. Why aren't you here? Why are you without your phone? Where are you? What are you doing? Yeah, I understand. So, we believe you know a lot more about this than what you're telling us. Okay? You don't want to call them lies, call them whatever you want. Then this document comes into play. You and Fotis sat down and did your documents.
with Pavel.
With Pavel. You guys do your documents, and in here you talk about you wake up at 6:40 together, you take a shower.
He said that.
You go along with it.
Okay, but then I'm not saying that I did.
Okay? So
That's
the
his
question is why, and this is how it looks bad. This timeline. When we sat down with you the first time, this is the timeline you gave us. Because I took the shower, I can read it to you. It's here, Michelle. So let me finish my point. Okay, so you're going through all this stuff. But what do you not tell us about? You don't tell us about the ride to Hartford. We had to bring that up. In fact, it's not even in here. Never happened, but it did. Okay?
Allegro is comparing apples and oranges here when he says it's unbelievable to him that Michelle wouldn't have gone to look for Fotis when he wasn't in the bed because Michelle would question Fotis about his texts to women. The central topic is not whether or not she would question all things, but Allegro is conflating it. It was not unusual for Fotis to not be in the bed. So there'd be no reason for Michelle to question him or go looking for him or even remember. As for women, Michelle did have to have known what Fotis was like in that respect, or at least she suspected it. So questioning him about that would make sense. Michelle does have a problem here though. When she was originally questioned, she rattled off her routine. She used words like usually and would and normally, and usually Fotis would get into the shower with her. It is understandable and common for witnesses to make this particular mistake, but it's still a problem for her. It looks like she covered for Fotis, and it would be unreasonable for the police to not push her on this one. Yes, she has explained this more than once, but I can understand why this would trouble them. He moves on to the question of whether Fotis was home. She had told them she thought he was, and that he must have been because she saw Kent and she saw the Suburban. Things appeared the way they always appeared, so she'd have no reason to question anything. We know that Fotis was not home, but Michelle didn't know that at the time. Michelle told what she believed was true. And that's something else that happens a lot. A witness will state what they believe to be true but the facts show it isn't true. It doesn't mean the witness was lying. It means the witness believed a thing that wasn't true. During the investigation, and during an earlier interview of Michelle, and on the witness stand, under oath, Kimball said there was no thunderstorm on the 23rd. Not only that, there was very little precipitation. He was adamant. Even when the defense showed him a video of rain, Kimball was still hesitant to change his story. Eventually, he had no choice because the evidence that he was wrong was overwhelming. Does this mean that Kimball lied? Does it mean he perjured himself? Are we using the same standards by which to judge this as we are judging the witness? Or does everyone else deserve some level of understanding except for this witness?
You don't tell us about the key that just happens to end up in the Cherokee, but Pavel told us about the key. He even saw the key, and then he and Fotis disappear, and when they come back, you and the key are gone. Not the way you said it happened, but the way Pavel said it happened.
We have to call you, and you have to bring the key back to them.
But I didn't bring the key back.
So let me finish my point. So that's not in here. Then we fast forward to the 29th, and the car wash. None of that's in here, and that's all important stuff. I find it hard to believe a girl, a woman, who's that on top of her man. You don't text me within the hour, I'm giving you the finger. And I saw the conversation, it was the whole thing. And it wasn't the first time that happened, where you guys went back and forth. All right? And then he's getting text messages from other women in Greek, and you're all over him. There's tons of women on that phone.
Yes.
Videos,
Did you see
pictures.
that? When was that?
I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
I'm just talking about you because it kind of shows us a lot about you. And now he's not there, just so happens to be the day that his wife goes missing. He's not there, but his phone is. And did you ever ask him? Where were you?
Well, when the police came, yes.
Okay.
So the police
What did
came
he
at
say?
8:30 at night.
There's so much to this. There's no way you just didn't know. You're too involved. You're there. How could you hid this? So you really need to tell us what you truly know. You've been given a gift. All right, you've been given a gift to give yourself lots of freedoms in the future that you may not have. Jennifer Linton, her boyfriend, kills his two parents. They go missing. The girlfriend, she doesn't know anything. She gets arrested for one of the two charges you're charged with. She goes to jail for a lot less than what we have on you. She's doing 8 years. 8. And that's what you're looking at, but you have multiple counts. And he can explain this to you. Help yourself and tell us what you know, because we all believe you know a lot more. And if we're going to continue to go through the timeline, we're all set.
Michelle, after Wednesday, when he's with Jennifer, you send him the middle finger emoji because he doesn't respond. Just, you've had a chance, now it's our chance. You're pissed off at him on Wednesday, right? You're mad at him? You are, because why else would you give him that? That's a F you, right?
Yes.
So you're mad at him. Then on Friday, you wake up, he's not there. You don't know where he is. You told me you didn't know where he was, right? How do you not ask him where he was when he comes home for lunch? How does that happen?
Okay.
Oops. Do you know more, yes or no? And if you do, give us that answer and then start telling us. If not, I think we're all set.
Okay.
From the beginning, when you started to think about this, everything.
No, that I don't know.
Do you know more, yes or no?
No, I don't know about anything that if he planned or anything. I'm
Do
just
you know more about this, yes or no?
I don't know about what?
About Jennifer going missing and all the details that surround her. Do you know more than what you
No,
told
I'm
us,
gonna
yes or
tell
no?
you. What he was like when I came out of the what's the called name of the 80 mountain that he asked for the paper towel. Yes, he was cleaning the Tacoma.
He was cleaning the
Tacoma.
Alright, so you've given us a lot of detail, but it's not the detail we need to hear.
Okay.
If Fotis was cleaning the Tacoma, if you
Because
saw
he said
more,
he's still
if you saw,
talking.
You need to give us
Okay,
that
I'll
detail,
give you every detail.
explicit detail.
That Wednesday, I tell you, I didn't know where, I thought he was in Grace Farm. I found out that he wasn't in Grace Farm when he spoke with Jacob, probably Monday at night, and Jacob said, Fotis, were you inside that house that night? When you were having dinner? And I didn't know, I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, because if there's a hair, a piece of skin, whatever, of you inside that house, you're in big trouble.
In that house, Jennifer's house.
Jennifer's house.
Wells.
Uh,
Wells Lane.
Yeah, we're Jennifer.
yeah.
And his response was,
No, I did not go in.
no, I did not go in.
Yes.
Okay.
But you didn't know he was at the house.
I didn't
Did not go
know.
in the house.
I didn't know. So that's when I got really pissed off and I said, you lied to me.
Sure.
You didn't go, you told me that you were in Grace Farms and that's why there was no seat.
This is the Michelle we want to talk to.
Of course I was upset that day, but that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that was on a Monday that he spoke with Jacob that night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then prior of that day, I knew, because Fotis was lying to me. He told me that the day before Mother's Day, that I was in Boston with Nicole, and he came later that night. I said, how was your day? Oh, we had a fantastic time. We went to the fair. Wait, that was when was Mother's Day? May 12th, so 11th. He went to the fair with the kids and the supervisor. Okay, and he said, no, we had a nice time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, perfect. I got you a gift, Petros chocolate. Okay, good. That night, and then he said, Constantine went to a lacrosse match. I'm like, why she does that? Why she takes the kids when it's your day to have them all? And he goes, well, you know how she is. And she said, no, but she just picked him up and took him to the whatever game. Okay, the next day, we were with all the family of Mark celebrating Mother's Day, and I hear Fotis telling Mark that Jennifer spent a couple of hours in that fair with him, and I didn't know either. So again, I got upset. I went to the car because I couldn't do a scene there. I called my mom and then my sisters. Then I went back to the place where we were having lunch. Yeah, I think it was a yacht club, I don't know. To the restaurant where we were. And then that night, I'm like, why are you lying to me? And he said, well, I don't want you to get upset. So yes, it's true. Fotis had these things of chatting with women, looking at other women's, and I would get upset,
Yes.
but I didn't know until I found out.
Okay, so now let's go back to 80 Mountain Road.
Okay.
I understand that history and the things that have said you, but we're here about what happened to Jennifer, all right?
Okay.
So tell us everything you saw. He's cleaning the Tacoma. So you see, why are we just getting that now? Why am I
I'm
cleaning?
telling you.
What's here?
Okay.
All the details.
He asked for paper towel. He went inside. I think he went from the outside because I was outside. I said the paper towel is in the kitchen or it's upstairs because I put it in the bathroom, in one of the bathrooms. He went, grabbed it, and then at some point when I'm coming outside, he was walking from the Tacoma, like turning around from the Tacoma and walking towards me.
Which side of the Tacoma was he on?
Driver's side.
Huh?
Driver's side? Was it driver's side?
No. The Tacoma was looking towards going out.
So which side was he coming from?
From the co-pilot,
The passenger
the
side.
passenger.
So if it's a pickup truck, so there's only a driver and a passenger seat.
Well, does that have 4 doors or one? Okay, but I don't know, it was from here. And this is the driver, the passenger.
Yeah.
So he was coming from here.
Okay.
And then he walked and he grabbed me, he gave me a piece of paper over the toilet, the paper towel, and I put it inside where I had the bag of cleaning, what I was cleaning, the house.
Okay. Did you see spilled coffee?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you see a coffee cup?
No, because I didn't look inside the car.
Did the paper towel smell like coffee?
No, I didn't smell
Well,
it.
still, you're holding coffee sticks.
Pero I hold the paper towel, but I didn't smell it, I didn't see that.
But even still, you didn't smell coffee.
No.
You know how coffee is when you smell it, stinks.
Yeah.
Smell it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
What other detail can you give?
The other detail, before Pavel arrived, we were against a Tacoma. Can I pull a...
Tell me.
Bueno, he was behind me. I push him like that. I turn around, I put my hands in his pocket, and he goes like this and said, "I'll give you the surprise tonight," something like that. He made like a joke. And that's when Pavel arrived.
Does that happen on the passenger side of the car?
Yes. Yes, because the Tacoma was looking that way.
I'm gonna ask you a question, I'm just curious, it's from my own mind. When you're on the passenger side of the car, are you guys fooling around?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's all I need to do.
They accused Michelle of not telling them important details. But Michelle would have had no way of knowing which detail was important and which was not. It wasn't until she had more information and sat down with her lawyer and tried to work it out that she was able to figure out that maybe some of these details might be useful to police. And then she gave too much detail and was criticized for giving too much detail. I'm not going to rehash all the reasons for this. I already addressed this in previous videos about this interview. There are different ways to read all of this, and frankly, the police get lied to all the time. So I get why he would read it this way, but I'm having a problem with some things. And one is, how is it that Pavel is somehow more credible when it's proven that he lied to police right off the hop? Why is the standard different? Michelle is clear. She doesn't know about Jennifer's disappearance. Allegro gives her the standard, help yourself and here's your chance. We're giving you a gift. You can see she wants the chance. She wants to be able to say something to help herself. But she only knows what she knows, and she doesn't know what they want her to have known. There's no way out of this situation for her, but we're going to see her try. Allegro tells her, there's no way you didn't know, but he's wrong. He's operating on some assumptions and looking through the lens of his own knowledge and experience, not hers. To try to give them something, she ends up pretty much repeating what she has said before. When that's all you've got, that's all you've got. When they challenge her, saying she was mad at Fotis for lying to her, her response is, well, of course I was. If she was trying to engage in impression management, focusing on hiding, she would have said almost anything other than what she just said. This is where we see suspects suddenly become noble and wise and altruistic. They're lovely people, and it's all BS. This is where you'd expect to see some of that. You'd expect to see her say, oh no, I'm a nice person, or everything's wonderful. But she doesn't do that. She's like, yeah, he lied to me. Yeah, of course I'm angry. And if they want to portray her as the angry woman, well, how does that fit with her being the hopelessly in love woman who is going to cover for her man no matter what? Fotis lied to her. It would be weird if she wasn't angry. She thinks Fotis was walking toward her from the passenger side of the Tacoma. She's not actually clear, and they don't give her a chance to try to figure it out. They ask her about the smell of the paper towel. I suppose it's possible she could have caught a whiff of odor from that, considering coffee is something that does have a strong smell to it, but cold coffee doesn't have as strong a smell. And who actually sniffs dirty paper towel? They ask her if she and Fotis were fooling around. This was said more like a statement than a question, and I think most English speakers would have taken this as a question. I don't know if fooling around is an expression Michelle completely understood or not. At no point was there any mention of any activity beyond Fotis pressing against her and making that joke. And I'm wondering about the relevance of this. I found it bizarre that the prosecution included a sexual message from Michelle to Fotis in its case. Overly sexualizing women is often part of demonizing them.
This is the house with the four garage. This door was the one open. That the woman that said was here.
Conversation about the keys. Yeah, they're not.
Then,
There's gonna be something
and
that
then Pavel comes.
you're gonna hear that, okay?
Pavel comes.
I don't know what your evidence is, but I want you to hear something relating to the timeline, okay?
Something like that. So this is the driver's passenger, and we were here, and Pavel comes, and I believe these cars were here later.
So this is the passenger side of the Tacoma, and the door is open.
Yes, and
Alright, Michelle, I'm just gonna ask you,
yes,
are you guys having sex? You and Fotis?
not with our clothes on, but
You
he
were,
was.
you were getting there, and then Pavel arrived?
Yeah, but we weren't. I don't think we were gonna have sex.
Okay.
But yes, we were.
So regardless, you guys were fooling around in a sense sexually
Yes,
in the passenger side of the Tacoma with the door open.
yes.
And that's at 80 Mountain on the 24th.
On the yes.
After Fotis has cleaned that car.
Yes, because he gave me the paper. I went in and then I came out.
Okay. So, please continue.
But it arrives. They make like a joke now because like 3 weeks later or 1 week before, Pavel found us in the kitchen. And since that day, we were making jokes like, okay, we're not doing anything.
Okay.
I think Pavel says something about a bicycle. He talks about a bicycle.
Okay, tell me about the bicycle.
No, he said, oh, you're riding bicycle, you're doing rides with a bicycle. And that's before they were talking, that was either before or after talking about 61 Sturbridge.
Alright.
What do you mean?
Pavel says this today on the 24th. The bicycle conversation comes up.
Yes.
So Pavel,
I'm almost
just let me
sure. But
make sure I
then
understand.
I saw Pavel on Tuesday when the timeline with the three of us.
Did Pavel say that he saw a bicycle in New Canaan on the 24th at 61 Sturbridge? No, I'm trying to understand. So there was a bicycle at this house. Which bike was it?
Not a motorcycle, a bicycle.
A bicycle?
Yes.
Okay.
For this old bicycle.
What color is it?
Dark gray, brownish.
It's a dark gray brown bike. Is that bike at Fort Jefferson?
It must be.
It must be.
It must be there.
Okay, tell me what Pavel said about the bicycle.
Something of riding, are you riding bicycle, or you're training, are you being Armstrong, something like that.
Okay. Do you know why I said that?
Because he was making a joke because he saw a bicycle.
Okay, so at 80 Mountain that day, there was a bicycle.
That was a bicycle.
Was the bicycle in the Tacoma?
No, it was inside the house.
It was inside the house?
Not inside the house, in the garage. In the
Do you know what
garage.
kind of bicycle?
It's a,
Just gonna pause it at 2:57:15.
Wow, the bicycle. First things first. I just want to note that Bowman wants the police to hear about a particular thing related to the timeline. If they don't get to that and I forget about it, remind me. The officer still has it in his head that Michelle and Fotis were fooling around. In fairness, when he'd asked this, she'd said yes. But I don't think that what she thinks that means and what he thinks that means are exactly the same. So here the officer says, you were getting there. And it dawns on Michelle what he's actually saying. And she says, no, that's not what was going to happen. When Pavel arrives, he makes the joke and she says he'd found them previously in the kitchen. And so there's been a joke ever since. Then Pavel makes a joke involving a bicycle. Why would Pavel joke about a bicycle? Now, if you were in that moment and you have no idea that a bicycle was used in the commission of a crime, you might not think anything of it. So now she's giving them the information about the bicycle. Why didn't she say this before? Probably didn't think much of it. There was junk in garages all over the place. When they ask her if the bicycle is at 4 Jefferson, she says it must be. She doesn't know. It's not something she paid attention to. To someone else listening at this point in time where they were then, why was Pavel making a joke about a bicycle might seem like a question about an irrelevant detail, except it was a crucial question, and the answer it elicited provided important information. Ask a different question, get a different answer. And as we all know now, this was important. Her answer is matter of fact. There was a bicycle in the garage. Fotis's old bicycle. All of this means that Pavel saw the bicycle at 80 Mountain Spring. During his testimony, he said Fotis had talked about his old bicycle. The prosecution showed Pavel a photo of Fotis's garage at 4 Jefferson, and Pavel asked if that was the spot where the bicycle would have been mounted on the wall. At no time during his testimony did Pavel say, I saw a bicycle at 80 Mountain Springs on May 24th. Why not? And this raises another question. If Fotis rode the bicycle from 4 Jefferson to Mountain Spring early that morning so he could load it in the Tacoma without being seen by anybody, why did he not ride it back to 4 Jefferson when he returned the Tacoma? He was a runner. Did he run back? Maybe, but he would have been sweaty, and Michelle said he appeared like usual when he got home for lunch. It's possible he could have walked back. It wasn't that far. He had plenty of time, but he also got cleaned up somewhere. Where? Could someone have picked him up? And why did Pavel leave out of his testimony that he saw that bike at 80 Mountain Spring when he was specifically being asked about the bicycle while he was on the stand? I could see him leaving it out if he hadn't been specifically asked. The garages on the properties contain all sorts of things, and it might not stand out in a person's memory, or it might not be seen as important. But Pavel was asked specifically. And if the prosecution goes after Michelle for failing to give the detail about the bicycle earlier, when no one had asked anything that would make her even think of it, are they also going to go after Pavel for failing to mention this while he was under oath and was specifically asked about the bicycle, and after he knew how important this bit of information was?
An old bicycle of 40s that 40 said that he had it since he was like 18. Because I have, when I went to pick up my stuff, I grabbed 3 bicycles, 2 that are mine, and I have them because they're in the hotel. The mountain one, the street one, those 2 are mine, and a street of 40s that is like gray. But that one, I bought it. We bought these 2 together like last year.
And was that bicycle at 80 Mountain ever before?
Which
Excuse me, the bicycle that they're talking about, the gray.
I don't know, because I go to this house only when he shows it to some clients in particular.
And you know what kind of bike it is?
No, but it's an old one. It's like a 20.
Is it a Mercier?
I know it's supposed to be a good bicycle, but old.
Okay.
So what else?
And that's it. And then at some point we all leave.
Alright, so now let's talk about the keys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be open with you, I'm just gonna tell you. Pavel sees the keys hanging in the passenger side door when
Okay.
he arrives at 80 Mountain.
Okay.
He and Fotis go for a walk and they talk about the grass that's coming up nice with the area where the ribbon is. According to Pavel, that's when you leave, and when they come back, the keys are gone.
So
Suggesting that you took the keys.
I don't think that she gets the significance of this bicycle being in the garage. They tell her what Pavel said about the Tacoma keys. So she assumes or deduces she must have taken them. This isn't memory. It's agreement. Just like she modified her story about the thunderstorm so it would more closely match what they told her. Just like she apologized for saying she was washing windows because they told her that's what she'd said. In both of those instances, they were wrong and she was correct, but she assumes she must be wrong. Like so many witnesses. Like so many witnesses, she figures the police must be right. I don't think she has any idea at this point what she has just done to herself right here by trying to avoid another argument with them. It sounds like an admission. It also looks like compliance. Yes, I know people won't like that I said that, but really, it can be reasonably seen both ways.
There's no reason why I took the keys and I left, but
So this is where it's problematic. This is where it's problematic. This is where we come back to this. All the things that we talked about in here that were said by you, not once, sometimes twice, because we met 2 times before, that were less than truthful. Now all of a sudden, you're taking the keys. You have to understand how that looks, okay? You do look very bad,
yes.
okay? You need to explain, why did you go along with this? Because it looks like you knew more than you're saying.
Alright, explain it, alright?
Okay.
This is your chance to explain.
On Tuesday morning, after I dropped off Nicole, Pavel and Nicole,
What day? What day? Tuesday?
28.
28th.
Okay.
After dropping off Nicole in the school, I come back. Fotis and Pavel, at some point they arrived to the kitchen. Fotis grabs a notebook, tears those pages and says, we have to write timelines to remember what happened that day. Pavel said, I don't need to write because I'm going to remember. And I said, I have to write because I'm not going to remember. Because, I don't know, I must have a very brilliant mind. I mean, I don't.
So did you write out your note?
No, that's not my handwriting. That's
So that's what I'm asking. Did you write out your note to remember?
I wrote one, but mine were highlighted. First, alarm, took Nicole to school.
This one.
Exactly, that. Took Nicole to school. Like it was very basic,
Right,
the way I wrote it.
right.
And he was the one saying, okay, Pavel, and you arrived, let's say 4:30. I don't remember what time he put Pavel. And Pavel said, you look like shit. To Fotis, like that he looked like shit.
Okay.
And Fotis said, well, don't say that. Fotis told Pavel. That was like one thing that I was like, I don't know the meaning of it. Then he said, Michi, you took the keys from Pavel's car. And I said, okay, yes. Like, it wasn't like important for me. Well, it wasn't important because first, I thought that to write a timeline was to kind of remember what you did that day. Which if you see my timeline has nothing. It was like alarm.
So Pavel said you took the keys and Fotis said.
No, Fotis said it to me.
Fotis said.
Fotis said that?
Fotis said it. He said, Michi, you took the keys. And I said, yes. And he said, and we have to go back and get the car. Or pick up the pickup truck. Pavel's car. In 80. And that's how he was going through the timeline. But he was the one writing.
And he's the one that said what? About the keys and the timeline.
He said, Michi, you took the keys of Pavel's car. And I said, yes.
And what?
And then we had to go and pick up the car.
No.
Well, you gave me the keys?
So we have a different story. So they're trying to.
Well, I'm telling you that what I remember of him in the kitchen arguing with us or telling us in the kitchen with Pavel.
Okay, but there's already things that Pavel is bringing up that Fotis is saying, don't tell the police about, right? Like you look like shit, right?
Yes.
Well, what about the keys? Did Fotis?
I don't think.
Okay, well, what we think happened is what we heard happen is Pavel said, and you took the keys, and Fotis said, we're going to leave her out of it.
What do you mean leave her out?
We're going to not tell the police, just like Fotis said, we're not going to tell the police about Pavel saying, I look like shit. We're not going to tell them that.
Oh, yes, that he said,
Okay.
but he didn't say don't tell the police. He said, well,
I understand, but the meaning was,
All the things that you don't want to tell the police never made it into the story.
okay.
That's the situation you're in. When we sat down with you the first time, everything you told us was from this paper. Okay? All the untrue statements were from this paper. At this point, it doesn't matter who wrote it. You're the one that said it. I'm not the one that has to answer to that. Okay? There was a reason why you followed this, and I'm calling it a script because that's pretty much what it is. All right? What you wrote, Michelle, you wrote a timeline. Okay? Look, it's in here.
This is
All right? That's a timeline.
And
No. This is a script. Friday the 24th. And it just goes through. Michelle's not the her, of course you can.
because I didn't read his, I did mine.
But when we go through everything you told us the first time we met, it's 100% that page.
Dress, jeans,
It's on the page the next day I was for.
coffee.
You memorized it.
Oh, he did.
No, you, not him. You're the one that regurgitated those words. Yeah, I wanted to include taking a shower together.
We can stop it now.
But then
Understandably, the police are having a problem with this business with the keys. They have a number of good reasons for that, and Michelle's change in statement is not the only one. They confront her on the timeline. She explains again that Fotis wanted both her and Pavel to write a timeline, and Pavel said he'd remember, so he didn't need to write one. Michelle knew she wouldn't remember, so she did need to write one. The police tell her that Pavel said Fotis told him not to tell police about the keys. And Michelle readily says, yes, this is true. She remembers this. If she wanted to hide that, she could simply say, Pavel's lying. But that's not what she does. She mentions something else interesting. She says Pavel told Fotis that Fotis looked like crap. Seems to me Pavel knows something is wrong. Back to the keys in the timeline. Fotis had put on his timeline that Michelle took the keys. And Fotis said to her, Michi, you took the keys. And she indicates she thinks it doesn't matter and who took the keys. And it's not a thing worth arguing about. So she says, okay, fine. They confront her using Fotis's timeline. She again says she didn't write that. Allegro says everything she said matches Fotis's timeline. But the fact is, it doesn't match exactly. And one example is that on Fotis's timeline, he wrote that he had breakfast with Michelle. In an earlier interview, police had asked her this very thing, if she'd had breakfast with Fotis. And she said she had not. I still think that Fotis wrote out pretty much the usual routine and expected Michelle to either rely on his memory and just say, oh, okay, that must have been what happened, or that she would assume that he was right. And she did tell police, usually this is what happens. It wasn't until later, when she really thought about it, that she realized she was wrong, that things weren't the routine. And she did come forward and tell police that. They continue to confront her, and now they're really going after her. But once again, the flow of information and any elucidation stops because they won't let her speak. The court stopped for the day at this point, so they didn't show any more of the interview. I think she was a goner before she even walked in the door. She gave them valuable information for their investigation, but she made it worse for herself when she concluded she must have had the keys. That's all I've got for you today. Trust your gut. See you in the comments.